So the Shopify dashboard may be intimidating to beginners, but I actually really like the dashboard. It's very, very clean. And once you know where things are, I think you'll be, quite happy with it as well. But on the bottom, you'll see sales channels. That is anywhere that your product is going to be sold. Right now, it is just going to be on your online store. We have to get a domain, of course. So we're going to set up the online store first. But there are other sales channels that will show up down here in the future. If you're selling on Instagram, for example, on TikTok Shop, for example, on like Etsy or Pinterest, anywhere else that you might be, connecting this and selling, that'll show up down here in sales channels. So let's start off with the online store though. So we can click on online store and a little menu pops up below there. The first one, of course, is themes. And this is going to be our template. We can start with a fully pre-built store, and Shopify has a bunch to choose from. So what we can do right here is we can go to add theme and say, visit the theme store. We want to find a better theme, a different template that works for us. Make sure you are signed into your account, of course. And then we can just browse the themes. Click on this little button that says browse themes. And within here, you can select either paid ones, which usually they're like $2 or $3, maybe more than $300, which is definitely expensive when you're getting started out. I think most people could start with a free one and get, pretty much everything they need to. In the future, if you ever want to redesign your site with a paid theme, because, business is booming and you want to just rank a little bit higher on Google with a slightly faster load speed, you can easily do that in the future and migrate no problem at all. So don't feel too locked into your theme. I recommend starting off with a free one in the very beginning anyway. So if we scroll through, there are only 13. It's a little bit limiting. The paid ones, that list grows every time I make one of these videos. The free ones, there's always like 12. Now there's 13. Not really much growth there. But like I said, it's definitely more than enough to get the job done. So if you're selling a single product, I've always liked Origin. If we click on that, you can see just how clean and minimal it is. Like it starts off basically like just a title, a little tagline there, and then the product right away. And if you scroll down, of course, we can customize all of it, but I've always really, really liked this one for a single product. Because we have a bunch of products here, I think I would rather showcase something that maybe has more products on it. So maybe this one, Refresh, is another one I kind of do like. At the top, you've got this little banner here that kind of cycles through. It's like a carousel of images. And then down here, we've got some different products listed there. So realistically, I think I would like a hybrid of the two, maybe one featured product in the top and then a bunch of products below. So again, don't feel too tied into this theme. Everything is going to be customizable. This is just a really good starting point for your online store. So you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go with Origin. I think this is a good one. We could just click on try theme. You can also view the demo store if you want to click around and see how it works, but I'm just going to use this theme right away. And we can have maybe one featured product at the top and then a bunch below that. Now, before you actually continue, this is something that a lot of people get wrong. They get the new theme and they're like, why is it not showing? Why don't I have that new theme yet? And the reason, there's two things. One is because you didn't publish that theme. You still have the Dawn theme up here. So this is showing you what's actually active. And these are the other themes you have, but you don't actually use yet. So if you ever want to migrate to a new theme, that's kind of what this process is meant for. You could build out the site down here and then publish it when you're ready and swap out for your existing site. But because we don't really have an existing site right now, I'm going to click on publish and just make this new theme the primary theme immediately. So let's say publish. And the second thing, remember I said there were two reasons that you might not see your site right away. The second one is because there is by default a password on your site. So I'm going to remove the password. We can click remove password. And now our site should be pretty much ready to edit and build out. So it should look something like this. Let's click on customize. All right, and you're gonna see in just a couple clicks, this website is going to look, really quite good. Let's start off with this section right here. The way it works is a section layout, and on the left side, we have the hierarchy here. So if I collapse some of these, I think it'll make a little bit more sense. You can see these are all sections. The first level here, the highest level of this hierarchy is going to be the section. So the header is a section. Down here, this is a little text box. This is a section. This product is a section as well. And within each section, you have different columns, different elements. So this has text in it. This one down here is just an image. This one has 3 columns in it. And so we can add others just by clicking the plus button. And there are a lot of sections you can choose from. Maybe you want to have like a little about me section, or you want to have something that showcases your blog posts, or maybe you want to show, just an email sign up form. There's different kind of pre-structured sections you can add, and it'll just drop it in right there. And when you want to edit a section, you can either click on that section Or on the left side, let's go back to the hierarchy. I like working through the hierarchy. It makes it a little bit easier. We can click on that section. So featured product, this section. Say we want to edit this one. We can click on select a product first of all. And of our, 6 or 7 products we have so far, 6 products here, we can choose which one we're going to be showing first. Maybe the retro truck one would be a good start right there. And like I mentioned already, this is looking quite good. They put in the title on the right side, the price, they show us different payment options. We can choose, the color and the sizing. All of this is made very easily. And then over here, you'll have all the different photos. It can cycle through them, when you have your own photos in here. So let's say maybe instead of this one, we want to replace this product with maybe the mug. Maybe the mug's a good one right there. And so you can see the mug one, unfortunately, the default image has white in the background. So we'd rather have something that either is like a realistic example of it on a table or maybe just a transparent background. And we can choose what the default image is back on Gelatos. But what I'm going to do is actually just replace this one and go back to the one that we already had. I thought that looked quite good having the retro truck. I think that looks good. And then scrolling down, let's say we want to change some other things on here. So let's take things a bit deeper and look into this section right here. So as I mentioned, we have the section, which is just rich text. And by the way, you could rename these if you wanted to. You could duplicate them, you can hide them, you can remove them. And when you click on that, when you click on the highest level here, just rich text, you're able to change some fundamental settings about it. You can make it, if it's going to be left or right justified, center justified. Of course, the alignment down here, the color scheme. We have 5 different color schemes, and you want to make these color schemes. We'll do this in a second, so that they kind of, each section is just going to choose one of them. It makes it a lot easier rather than you having to change the background of every single section. This one, you could just say, like, I kind of like the background, it matches well, but maybe we want to have a darker one. I don't know. We could just say scheme 3 could be this right here. Like I said, I think it's fine at scheme 1 where it was, and that's going to be how you change like the font color and stuff like that as a whole scheme for that section. We could also make it full width if you wanted to. So you saw those little black bars or the kind of discolored bars on the side. Make it full width, that will go away. So for coloring reasons, that might be what you want to do. I'm going to revert it to where it was. We also have padding on the top and the bottom. That's going to be how much extra space you have above and below that. So that was at 40. I think 40 looks quite good. And so that's the setting you have right there. But if we go back, say you want to edit the context within that. So within rich text, you have a text box. We can add other things in there as well. We can add other, what they're called, blocks. We've got like a heading, you can have a caption, you can have text, buttons. Now we have several other blocks we could add in here, but this one, because it's a text block, this one's rich text, this entire section, we can't add images to this one in particular. So, and with all of these sections, maybe we want to reorganize some of them. Maybe you want the featured product at the top, and this is still useful, but maybe we want it a little bit lower. You can do that on the left side when you hover over this little 6-dot array here. We can click and drag that below, and it kind of highlights, you can see on the right side as we move that around. So I want to put that below the featured product. Actually, I really don't even need it entirely, but I just wanted to show you how to move it. And if we want to get rid of it, of course, hover here and just click on that little trash can button. Now, going back to the featured product on the top, here you can see we have many different things we can go into. So remember before we only had a title we could edit. Now we can edit a lot of other things. We can add other blocks within here. The title is, we could choose the size of that. If you want to edit what the title actually says, because that really does say quite a bit, you'd have to go back to Gelato for that and go down to stores, go to your store, which you can see right here. We'll click on view store, and then we can find the product. So this is the product right here. If you click on it, we can then edit the design. We can edit the details. So the details, let's say we want to make this a little bit of a shorter title. So we can just get rid of, we'll just call it hoodie, and we'll get rid of this. All of this can be added in the description down below. So maybe I want to add that down there. So we can then publish this to the store. It'll update that. And then if, sometimes it takes a minute for this to show up, but if I refresh this, let's actually make sure we save. Then we can refresh, save, and then refresh our store. You should have a much shorter title over on the right side. There we go. So now a retro truck in the desert, hoodie, way simpler, and that way it takes up less vertical real estate, so it's going to look a little bit cleaner. But let's talk more about the editing options we have here. The price, if you click on that, so we want to keep the price there. There's not a whole lot you can really change about that one. The variant picker, you can choose if it's going to be a drop down or if it's going to be pills. I think the pill shape looks good. The swatch, you could have circle, square, or none. And if we go back, we can also change like the buy buttons. If you want to have the PayPal option on there, or if you want to have dynamic checkout, some things you can toggle on and off. And lastly, the little share thing, in case somebody wants to send it to whoever who might be buying a gift for them. Just like that's kind of a convenient button to have right there. Now, before we continue editing anything else, I think it's important to talk about the color schemes we have available, because that's really going to matter a lot more down here when we're working on these other elements, these other sections. The first one, there's not a whole lot I want to change about that, but let's go on the left side. You'll see this little gear icon. These are theme settings. And within theme settings, we have really a number of settings that we need to address. But the first one, of course, is going to be those 6 different color schemes. There's only 5 set right now, but within any one of those, we can go into it. So let's just go with the first one, just because that's already being used. Or actually, I kind of like how that one looks. Let's edit scheme 3, which is used down here. This is scheme 3. You can tell by the color there. So if I click on that, I can change the background. So maybe the background is going to be more of like a deep blue, or I don't know, whatever works well with like if you have some color scheme in mind for what you want for your logo and your overall branding. You can have a gradient if you wanted that. I mean, this is really funky. I'm not looking to do something like this, but you know what? If that's what you want, that is an option that is available. So let's disable this gradient. We could just remove the gradient. And by the way, if there's ever anything you don't like that you just did, the little undo button is on the top right. You can also do Command Z on Mac or Control Z on Windows. We have the button options, the text color options. So all of these being white, I think is just fine. The solid button, we can match this color as well. So I highly recommend you highlight the first color, copy this. This is called an HTML color code, and we can use that in many different applications. We'll be using that in our logo, for example, in a minute, as well as anywhere else if you want to match the exact same color, which I think is quite valuable. So if we click on the button, we could just highlight that number and paste the other one, and you'll see it'll match it. It'll match it exactly now. Same thing with the shadow. Shadow, we can go and match that exactly as well. Sorry, let's highlight that, delete, and paste our other one in there. There we go. So that's how you can go about editing color schemes. And while we're in this side panel here, there's a couple other things I think we really should be editing. Typography, if you want to change the fonts, I mean, this theme came with the font that I think looks, pretty standard, pretty easy to work with in many different applications. But if you wanted to change it, you can go and find some other system fonts in here. So maybe you can scroll through and maybe just really want this one, for example. You can make that your font. So I don't really like that one, but whatever, we'll save it for now, just kind of demonstrating what features are available. Additionally, you can have your font scale, your size right here if you want to change that, make things, larger or smaller. Same thing with the body font down here. The layout changes your page width and how much space you have between template sections. If things feel a little bit too close, you can add some more space there. We have animations. So right now I have animations only set for when you're scrolling. Things will kind of reveal as you scroll, which is kind of nice for load speed. But we also have the hover effect here. If you wanted to kind of have certain things move or do different things like cards and buttons when you actually hover over them, I'm going to leave that disabled right now. But you know what, just to kind of demonstrate that, let's click save. And then I'll click on, once it's saved, I'll click on the 3 dots here and I will view this website. It'll open it in a new tab. And this is like how the actual user would visit your site, what it would look like. So I have some buttons down here. If we scroll down, you'll see, I just added this section in real quick to demonstrate this. If you move your mouse over there, the button like moves a little bit. It's kind of a fun animation, very subtle. And I think it's actually kind of tasteful in many websites out there. So let's leave that enabled. Otherwise, if we go back to where I was, in your theme settings, animations, we have some button settings here. So if you want to add a radius to your buttons, and keep in mind, a lot of these kind of boxes up here are not really categorized as buttons. I think the PayPal one is categorized as a button, but let's look at this button down here for a better example. We can have a border thickness if you want to have it, or you can have them more or less opaque if they're going to blend in with the background. Really what I like to change is a border radius. Sometimes the square buttons just feel a little too harsh in my opinion. So let's add like a 15 pixel radius on there. It's kind of hard to see on this one, but you can, sorry, it just took a second to update. Go back to 15. So yeah, just a nice little radius on that right there. We can add a shadow if you're feeling like having a shadow on the buttons to make them look a little more 3-dimensional. The animation kind of makes that unnecessary in my opinion. The variant pills are up here. So rather than buttons, that's where you can change the settings on these. So we can add maybe a matching radius there, or maybe slightly smaller, maybe a 12 pixel radius because they are slightly smaller. I'll hit enter and these should all be a little bit more round. I think that looks a bit better. We can also change the opacity of these. You can make them, a little bit more opaque or a little bit less opaque. Kind of gives them a nice shadow. That's about 30% opaque there. If you have any inputs, you can customize that here. You can customize product cards. You can customize collection cards. We don't have any collections right now. We can do blog cards. Again, we don't have any blog posts right now. There's a lot of stuff that I recommend going through this and kind of like, making sure that currency, maybe you have your currency code shown or not shown, depending on where you're selling. I think it makes sense to show that in case someone's visiting your website from another country. And of course, some cart settings down here as well. Just kind of dig through this in your own time. And there's going to be a couple settings that you'll have some personal preferences on and really want to change those. And while we're on the left side, the app embeds, right now I'm really not talking too much about that, but we do have the Gelato personalizer, so we can enable that for if we want to have, let's show for example, the personalized product. So if I go back to sections, maybe down here I want to add a section that is another featured product. And this one, we could do that personalizable one. So if I select a product, I believe the mug was the personalizable one. So we can have that. And because it's a white background there, we probably want to make this scheme 2 so that it kind of matches in a little bit better. So I think that looks good. Okay, save. That's pretty solid. Let's go back to those settings. Let's go back to those app embeds. So like I said, in the app embeds, if you have a personalizable product like this, you want to make sure that you have this enabled. That's very, very important. Otherwise, they won't really be able to do that. So we'll talk about actually placing a sample order. You see how it's going to work in a minute. Let's close out of that and go back to the editor up here. So I think we're making a lot of progress on this store. Again, it's very basic right now. I really just want to spend some time showing you what the tools are rather than, wasting a lot of time doing little details. Now, we want to edit the header, the footer, some basic things like that. We also don't have a logo on here just yet. So if we want to edit this header up here, we could just click on it. We can choose the logo. Maybe it's top left, might look a little better. It's kind of a maybe older style of website, but I personally really do like that. The menu, right now we don't have any other pages, so no other real menu. You can see your other pages will show up on the top right here. So we have a couple other pages, but we don't have like an About Us page or anything like that. We can create those, but looking at the menu, let's click on this again. We can select a menu. We can actually create our first menu. And this one, maybe I want to call it primary or header menu 1. And we can add items to this menu. So the menu is going to go across the top of the website. It's very common, so I think you'll understand once you see what this looks like. We can add our first menu item, and this could be maybe like our YouTube channel, and this could be a link. This could just be a link right there, and we'll say check. We could also add another one that might be maybe we want to have our home page collection. Just want to call this, maybe we just want to call this products and just make it our homepage collection, which we'll talk about collections, but that's just going to be essentially all the products we have right now. I could say save, and we could add maybe one more menu item on here. Because we don't have any other pages yet, I'm just going to kind of add a policies one. So we're going to say policy, we'll say return policy. We can look at our policies, or I guess we'll just do privacy policy. We'll do privacy policy for now. We didn't make our return policy just yet. I'm going to say save. And now we have our menu kind of set up. We can also reorder these. So I'll slide this one up. And this is going to be left to right, products, YouTube channel, and then on the right side, privacy policy. So let's close out of this. Or sorry, let's save it. Always save it. I'm glad that pop-up exists. Then we can close out of this. And then from here, we can refresh the page or save it and then refresh the page, refresh our page. And we should be able to choose that new menu we just made. So select the menu. This is the header menu 1, and now it shows up right there. We can make it a drop down. We can make it a mega menu. We can make it a drawer. There's different ways we can have the menu set up. I think drawer kind of makes the most sense here, so it's hidden over on the left side. We could have a sticky header. We could have it only when you scroll up. It could always be there. You could reduce the logo size, different ways that the header can interact as you scroll down. So I could have it like always there as I scroll, see how it sticks, or only on scroll up. So when you scroll down, it disappears, and the second you go up, it shows up right there. I think that's probably my preferred way to actually have this. The color scheme for the header, again, scheme 1 is kind of matching this. I think that looks good enough for us. I'm going to keep it that way. We can have a language selector, allow customers to have a login. The mobile layout, I think, let's actually view our mobile site. We haven't really done that yet, but Shopify makes mobile sites really look quite good. So speaking of that, let's go to the top right and click on this right here. This is how you switch between the mobile view, the desktop view, and a full screen view. The mobile view, the header is of course very similar. We've got the drawer, we've got our logo, and we've got the search bar and a little shopping cart on the right. If you scroll down, everything looks similar, but you'll see things like this. This doesn't look good. Like things that you it's important to go between desktop and mobile during your editing process to find things like this to say, hey, maybe this needs to be some medium font so that that doesn't happen on mobile. Let's go back to desktop, back to that desktop view. Let's click on the back button here. Let's click on that header again. And you'll notice this really annoying My Store thing. So that's our logo right now. If you wanted to change the logo, which I highly recommend we do this, on the left side, again, go back to theme settings, and logo is the first option there. We can select a logo as well as a favicon. So that's going to be, let me just see on the screen recording, if I pull things down a little bit, see the Shopify logo right here, the Gelato logo right here, the Google Slides logo right here. Those are all favicons, and you want yours to show up, not like a Shopify one. If somebody's on your store, just makes it look a lot more professional, and I would highly recommend that. So to make a logo, maybe you already have one. That's great if you do. If you don't, maybe the next like 3 to 5 minutes, we'll talk about making a quick little logo. So I'm just gonna let's go back to Canva. So let's just go back to Canva, and from here we could just search for logo. And you can even be more specific if you wanted something that was like maybe like a designer logo or something like that. Lots of options. So this one's probably a good start. I'm going to highlight all of this, make it a little bit bigger. So let's roll with this one, a pretty basic design. I resized it using this tool right up on the top left to make it wider so that it looks a little bit more in line with the logo on the store right now. So right now it's kind of stretched out like this. If we made a square one, it would either make it too tall or this really small and kind of invisible in the corner there. So let's kind of add this. So let's add the logo by clicking on select, and I just downloaded it. So I can just click and drag this over here. It will upload that and we can say done. And there we go. It adds our logo right up there. I think that actually looks quite good. We can make it a little bit larger if we wanted to. See how that looks a little bigger? Maybe something in the middle, like 190 might be good. And we can add our favicon as well. This you do want to be square, and you want this to be fairly small, like 32 by 32 pixels, I think, if I remember correctly. So back on Canva, we could look up favicon, find something like this, continue the design, and of course we could just use the same elements we had before, and I'm just going to put it in this little square design here. So we'll drop it in like that, kind of make it more full size here. And we could download this one as well. Now when you download it, it'll show you the pixel size. We want this to be a lot smaller, very small, like that. We can add a transparent background or leave it colored. I think on a browser, transparent would probably be just fine. Let's actually do it like this. I'm gonna add a little background there so it's more visible. It'll download right there, and we can go back to our store, right? I believe it's this one. We can add that image just by dragging this over, and our favicon will be set. There we go. Let's say done. And it's scaled down to 32 by 32 pixels. So like I said, even if it's a little bit larger, which I think I uploaded about 250 pixels, it'll be scaled down and shown on the top of our store. Now let's say save. And I think this is really getting, a lot of progress here. We're doing a good job. Let's go back to sections, and on the very, very top, even above the header, is an announcement bar. The announcement bar it's kind of just showing up right there. It could be initially when you first sign in. It could be showing you sales. It could just say welcome to the store. But I want this to, let's click on the text right there. This could say save or say free shipping with code. There we go. So let's copy this. We can have this link as well to a product. So we might as well just link to a product. And we can link to, I don't know, maybe this product right here. So if somebody clicks on it, they link over to really a collection. I think would make the most sense, linking to a collection. But you might as well have something active up there so they see free shipping and they don't have to remember that code. They just click on that. It'll bring them over and they can start buying. So they'll see free shipping. They can click on that. It brings them right into the order process over to a collection or a product, which, by the way, we haven't actually added a collection to this page. Let's do that down here. I think this image, if you have an image of all your products, would be great, but we don't have that right now. So I'm going to remove this and instead add a section in here that's going to be a featured collection, which is the suggestion anyway. It looks great. For this one, I think the background, I would like to use scheme, I think 3 is the white one. Is it 3? Scheme 2 is the white one. Just kind of change up the colors a little bit, break it up so it's not all that, there's a tan color. As far as the collection goes, we can choose our collection right here by clicking on select, And I'm going to go with the homepage collection, which I'm actually not sure. It looks like we only have one product in there. So we do have to build out that collection. I'm going to say save. And speaking of collections, right? We've used this collection quite a bit. Let's take a little detour and build out a collection. If we go back in the other tab to Shopify, just the Shopify dashboard, on the left side, if you go down to products, you'll see collections is below there. And right now we only have homepage as our only collection. I'm gonna make another one just to kind of show you how this is set up. You have two different styles of collections. You have manual and you have smart collections as shown right here. Smart collections you can add based on conditions. So any product that is a certain price, if you have like, maybe this one's gonna be under $100 could be this one. So this could be a smart collection. And we'd say this is going to be based on if the price is less than $100. And as long as this condition is met, it will be added. So all collections is essentially an and statement saying that this is very narrowing. So every condition has to be met in order to be in the collection. So it could also be, and maybe the category is something else. So it could be like t-shirts under $100. So it has to be under $100. And it has to be a t-shirt. If you have any condition, that would be an or statement, which is expanding what is included in this. It could be anything that is $100 or under $100, or it could be anything that is this other condition down here. So that's how you have kind of the compound statement right there. If you want to have more conditions, for something like this, it makes sense just to have it very simple. We can also add our description up here. Again, flush that out as much as you want. And down here, this is showing what it's going to look like on the search engine listing. So if somebody finds this on Google, that's how it's going to show up. It's going to say my store, some gibberish domain. Right now, we're going to fix both of those next. And then our collection is the name of the collection. And of course, the little description we have. So make this look a little bit better so it shows up on Google, but just kind of, I wanted to show you how collections work. Additionally, you can add an image here. So if you have an image of your whole collection, we can add that in. I currently do not have an image of that. So I'm just going to add a little dummy image just to kind of show you guys, or let's go with this one right here. We'll say done, just to show you that, the image, you can just put an image in there and that'll work for your collection. So let's say save. And actually, let's switch over to this collection now on the store. So going back to where we were, I hope this doesn't seem too sporadic. It feels like kind of a logical flow. When you're making the website, you'll be bopping back and forth between, editing products and collections and actually designing your store over here. So this collection, I know we chose the home collection, but let's change that. Let's make it the new collection that we just made. If we click on collection, which by the way, how to get back to this, click on your section that's featured collection. Down here, it says collection, click on homepage. That's the one that we had before. Click on replace. And now our new collection under $100. That's what we want to have, which happens to be all of our products. That's why I chose that, just to show you what that looks like. And there's also a view all button because we have more than 4 products in that collection. And every time we add another product, if it is under $100 to the end buyer, then it's going to automatically be placed in this collection because we used a smart collection, which does that for us. Let's save this. And before continuing any more on this design, I think you're starting to get a good idea of how this design works. We need to rename this store and actually give it a domain. Right now, it's very, very unprofessional to be called My Store, which you can see if I move my browser down a little bit, it says My Store. That's the name of our store right now. And the domain is just like a whole bunch of gibberish. If we go and view the store, if I say view store, in a new tab, this is our domain. We definitely do not want that. We need to get a professional domain on this website. So let's do that right now, which actually, wait, look at that. There's our favicon. Look at that. It worked. It's right there. That's exactly what we wanted. But like I said, let's get this domain. So back to Shopify. If we go on the bottom, I think you can see this on the screen recording. Maybe not. Let me move this up a little bit. There we go. Settings right down here. If we click on settings, that'll bring us into a lot of settings for Shopify. We're going to spend the next, several minutes in here digging through these settings. But first, we want to get that name changed and we want to get a domain. So the name change in general settings on the right side, I'm going to blur out some details here, but you'll see it just says My Store. If we click on the pencil icon, it'll pop up with the name of our store. So we can rename this. I'm calling this Santrell Designs. Santrell Designs. We have, of course, our store email, our store phone number, and I can save right there. So now we have our store finally renamed. That's great. That's going to show up on the top of the browser whenever somebody visits our store. Scrolling down, we have some other things like the order ID. So automatically people are going to get an email telling them their order ID. This is also helpful for you, and you can choose how the order IDs are really set up. So they're going to be numbered, of course, but you could have it starting off with a little pound symbol for number, or you could have a suffix after that if you wanted to. So it could be dash store or whatever, like, I don't know, stuff like that. You could have, however, whatever makes sense to you is going to be how you can set that up. I think the numbering, just like that, looks absolutely fine. On the left side, we can go down and, of course, plan. We already selected the plan, so we're good on plan. We have our billing, so if you ever need to upgrade your credit or update your credit card information, you'll see that over here. Users and permissions, if you need to add other people to this. So if you have a team, you can have other users and choose what their permissions are. I believe you will need a higher plan to get staff accounts. I think you need to, yeah, right there. You have to upgrade beyond the basic plan. So I think many people starting off will probably just do it on their own. We have payments. We do need to accept payments, but let's kind of zoom ahead down to domains right here. Get the domain first. Then we'll go through and set up our payments. So as far as domains go, you can search other sites. If you go to Namecheap, for example, so I go to namecheap.com, we can find domains possibly for slightly less money. So let's look at Santrel Designs. I wonder if I bought that in the past for a different video. Let's search for this, see if Santrel Designs is available. SantrelDesigns.com is available, $12 or $11.28 plus probably some other fees. Let's see what it costs in Shopify. If I say buy a new domain, this is going to be SantrelDesigns.com. Obviously, it is available, so $16 per year. So you could save, I think, what's that, like $4 or $5 per year by going through Namecheap. I'm not going to do that because in the end, you are going to get more value out of Shopify. It's going to, one, be much easier to connect. Two, it already comes with things like Whois privacy, so you don't have to pay extra for that. And I think having all your billing in one location makes it easier, in my opinion, versus having multiple accounts and having to remember to go to Namecheap and update your credit card whenever that expires. But if you want to get the domain here, you can port it over to Shopify. It's really not that difficult to do. It takes a little bit of time, but I'm going to buy it directly through Shopify. I think those extra couple dollars per year, just for me personally, it's worth it. So you'll get an email, big button on there, just click it to verify your email for this domain, and then this will turn green and your domain will be set up. But let's continue through these settings. Like I said, domain, we wanted to jump to that one. That was our priority. Now let's go back to where we were. Payments, checkout, all this stuff here. Payment processing. We will need a way to accept credit cards. So the way that print on demand works, as I mentioned earlier in the video, is that we have this storefront. We have our website right here. So somebody will visit our website. They'll add something to their cart. They'll go and make the actual purchase, which sends the money to our Shopify account. So we need a way to accept payments, and then we pay for the product from Gelato. Gelato produces the product, and Gelato ships the product at their retail price or their product cost. You'd see like we've been setting the entire time. So the difference is going to be the profit that we actually receive between our price and the price it actually costs Gelato to make the product for us. So that is why we need to have a payment processor set up here. We have Shopify Payments is really the main one, which is going to accept like Visa and MasterCard. And if I just click on Learn More, it'll show you a lot more about that. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, JCB. We've got a lot of different ones, and you can do this in person. Doesn't really make sense for print on demand, but if you ever in the future are selling, like arts and crafts stuff, or if you have inventory, for example, you can sell in person with point of sale with Shopify very, very easily, actually, even using your phone. You don't even need a terminal, but that's Shopify Payments. So let's set that up. So if I just click on Activate Shopify Payments, it's going to walk us through a pretty simple process. You'll have to enter some information to verify, for tax reasons, your name, your social security number, your address, so they know, how to actually send your 1099 at the end of the year. And we can set this up as an individual. If you don't have an LLC, that's probably what you'll be doing. Of course, consult your legal advisor before, doing any kind of LLC stuff. But if you want to be set up as an LLC, that would be classified as a registered business. And there's many different types of businesses. It could also be a partnership, sole proprietor, a lot of different things. I'm going to go with individual for now. Individual. We'll say next. And now we can enter our name, birthday, email, social address, and things like that. Then you click on next. You choose your industry type. I'm going to say clothing and accessories, subcategories, maybe like men's clothing. We can choose the bank statement. So this is very, very, very important down here. You want to make sure that your store name is not something crazy that people won't recognize. You want it to be reliable. So when somebody looks at this, they'll say, oh, that's the store that I bought it from. They're not going to be disputing credit card charges or bank charges when they purchase your product and get their credit card bill at the end of the month. So you want this to be Santrel Graphic Designs, maybe graphic designs and apparel. We'll say that. I'm going to say next. Then we can click on confirm and submit for verification. And we can turn on two-step authentication while we're at it. This is going to make our store a lot more secure. And I generally recommend, being as secure as possible. And in order to set up two-factor authentication, I'm going to be blurring this out. But you just open up any authenticator app on your phone. So like Microsoft has one, Google has one. There's a ton of them out there. Then you tap on the scan QR code option. It'll scan it. It'll give you a 6-digit number, and you can type that in on the bottom here and say save. And just like that, the two-factor is set up. You'll then want to download your codes. You'll then want to download your recovery codes in case your phone breaks and you can't get two-factor, and then say complete. All right, payments should be set up. That'll tell us when it's approved, and we'll be ready to go. So it's going to take a few more minutes to create the account. We can then set up PayPal as well, making it a little bit easier for somebody to order from us. So PayPal, again, the setup, very easy. All you do is just sign into your PayPal account. That will be quite easy to do. The checkout settings here, not a whole lot we really need to change. You can choose the customer contact method, phone or email. Looks good to me. You can allow them to track their order. I think that's very beneficial. I'm going to leave that enabled. And we can choose what we want. So no company name for something like this. Address line 2 could be optional. Shipping address, phone number. You don't even need to include it a lot of times. So sometimes you can make it optional or required depending on your shipping service that is being used. Some marketing options. It makes sense to collect their emails. We'll talk about email marketing a little bit later. SMS is another option if you want. Please don't have a tipping option at checkout for print-on-demand stuff. Customers can make their own accounts, so we can have login stuff here. I'm not going to change anything there. Shipping and delivery, we don't have to worry about that. Gelato is taking care of that, and you should see shipping profiles. Gelato has 48 profiles, so they're taking care of that for us. Taxes and duties, of course, consider your local region, talk to your tax professional, and figure out what taxes you should be charging. There are some apps to help with that as well. I'm not going to dig into that too much in this video. We have locations and markets. Because we don't have a physical location, I'm not going to do anything with locations. Other than that, there's not a whole lot I need to do here except the very last thing, the policy. So I mentioned earlier we had one policy set up, I think a privacy policy that's automated. We can have some other ones, and Shopify does a really good job of kind of setting up some templates for us. So if we look at a return and refund policy, of course you want to, this is going to be your policy. You could insert a template right here, but read through it and see if that actually makes sense to you. I could say publish. We can also check out our terms of service. Again, using the template, read through this because, like I said, this is your policy. You're telling people this is how you operate your business. So definitely make sure that this is all true. And if you need to change it, go ahead and change it. But this is, if you say publish, that's going to be your policy there. Contact information, of course, is down there if you want people to be able to email you and ask questions or stuff like that. And that's about it for these advanced settings. Let's click on the little X on the top right. All right, so the store is really just about ready now. I think what we want to do now is probably to check out what the store looks like. So if you are on your Shopify dashboard, you can go down to Online Store, hover over that, and you'll see View Your Online Store. In a new tab, it'll go to your domain. Make sure that is your domain. Looks good. You can see the whole website is interactive right now. We can click on things. So we can make it like the dark chocolate sweatshirt in size large. We can, and like maybe that looks good to you. It actually kind of does look pretty good. I like that. And then we can add it to our cart. You'll see it's in the cart on the right side. Let's close out of that. Let's see if we can shop around a little more. Maybe we want to buy, let's say view all, see what other products we have. So under $100. By the way, I would like to edit this page and make this a white background so we don't have this really ugly kind of white block for each one. Maybe we want to buy this one as well. Let's check out the page for this one. The image loads. We have a second image if you want to see the right side. I don't know why I even added that one, but it's there. We've got our size guide, and let's add this one to the cart as well. Let's make this one a large. We're going to add one quantity of one, add to cart. Actually, let me check out the sand one now. Sand might blend in a lot with this background. Actually, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that sand one. I'm going to add that to the cart as well. Add to the cart and kind of just, let's check out this user experience, Let's play around with it a little bit. Now we can go over to on the top right. If we click on the shopping cart, we can say checkout. The total is $82. And from here, okay, checkout experience looks pretty good right now. As a customer, we can enter our contact information. We can just pay really quickly with Google Pay or, PayPal or Shop Pay if we have those set up. Credit card information, we can have make your own account down here, shop account. That's kind of cool. And on the right side, you'll see what you're actually getting. So I think it's time we make a sample order and see how this is actually set up. Oh, there is one thing I forgot to mention here. One thing that I would like to add, which is over in the Shopify settings. I think it's really beneficial to have some type of coupon. So we added one at the top. And remember the banner? Let's go back to our banner here. It says free shipping with code SHIP2ME, right? But we never actually configured that. So before I place this order, because I would kind of like to set up for myself a little discount that, I'm paying myself anyway, but let's make sure this is actually set up properly. So over here, we can go, again, in the Shopify dashboard, go down to discounts. And then within discounts, Shopify has a number of options, very well set up, I might add. So we have the amount off the products. You can have buy one, get one. You could have an amount off the total order, or you could just have free shipping if you want a shipping discount on here. And of course, that doesn't make the shipping genuinely free. You're the one, as the shop owner who has to eat that cost. But let's just say shipping discount. We're going to add a shipping discount, and this is going to be ship to me. That's going to be our discount code. This is valid in maybe just select countries. So maybe just United States, say add, and we could exclude you can exclude shipping rates over a certain amount. So if it is more than $20, I don't want that to be free shipping. So if somebody's ordering something gigantic or, the wall art, for example, might be more expensive. Let's actually make this more like $10. So that would be separate. Then down here, we could have a minimum. So maybe if they have to spend at least $10 or order at least 2 items for that to apply. And this could be, all customers, no limit on how much they can use it. You might want to limit the total discount if you're doing a sponsorship of somebody and say hey, use code Mike and the first, 500 customers get, $50 off or something like that. Just kind of an option you have available. You could combine this works. You can have it with product discounts as well or order discounts, or maybe it doesn't combine with any of those. You can also have a start and an end date, and I'm going to save this discount. There we go. And then we have the discount set up. I'm just going to copy this so I can use this over on my checkout. So let's go back to our checkout, here. Click on the little checkout button. Quantities look good. I'm going to click on checkout, and within checkout, discount code now shows up on the right. I can paste my discount code. We can say apply, and it'll give us the shipping discount at obviously when we enter our shipping address. So let me enter that detail right now. All right, so now we have the shipping price here. I'm going to enter the shipping discount, click on apply, and now the shipping is free. So that coupon worked perfectly. That's exactly what we wanted. And keep in mind, because I'm placing a sample order here, I'm obviously paying myself. There's profit that's going to come back to me, but that is going to be kind of there's going to be a credit card charge on that profit. So it may make sense to make another special discount code for you that just brings these down to exactly cost. And that way, you're not losing any money. But I kind of think it still makes sense to get the learning experience of seeing where the money goes, how you can withdraw the money from your Shopify balance, different things like that. So for $60, I'm getting these 2 products. I'm going to go ahead and place this order. I think there's a lot of benefits to placing orders on your own products. One is that you can actually see the quality, and when you get it, you're like, hey, maybe this is really bad, and I put my design in the wrong place. Something's not quite right, and it's going to cause a lot of returns. So you finding that early on can save you a lot of headaches and ultimately a lot of money as well. And secondly, it's really advantageous for marketing materials. Sure, the mockups are great that are available, and you can find other places to make mockups. I'll talk about that in a minute, but having pictures on actual people is always going to be better than having mockups, especially if you're able to get good quality photos. And of course, thirdly, it kind of shows you, that the whole process works. You can make sure that the checkout's not broken. People aren't ending up on your site but unable to purchase for some reason. You get the full experience as a buyer by making a sample order. Oh, and lastly, you can figure out, what the packaging actually looks like when it arrives and how long it actually takes to arrive. So all of that is going to be very, very, very important knowledge to have. So That's why I recommend ordering at least one sample of your own product. Oh, and by the way, don't forget your first order with gelato will be 50% off as long as you went through that link in the beginning. So it's not going to be 50% off my retail price, but the cost to me in gelato, which remember this might have been like, $15, and this one might have been like, $17 or $19. That's going to be half. So that's cut in half, which again saves us some money when we're actually placing an order. And keep that in mind in case you're going to place like 5 smaller orders. Maybe you just want to place one larger order and get that 50% discount all at once. Look at that page right there. Confirmation page looks really good. Total savings, so make them feel a little better about the order. You got the confirmation number on the top. We have the ability to track the package. We have, of course, down here, the 2 items you ordered, the payment method, the delivery details, the coupon you used, and you can, of course, just click the big blue button, continue shopping. It'll bring you right back to that homepage. I think that whole experience is just really incredible considering how relatively little work we did designing this website. So I'm always very, very happy with that.